Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this video, I'm going to take a look at the best Hearthstone meta decks after the United in Stormwind balance patch and the first nerfs to the meta. Overall, the post-nerfs meta has been characterized by very polarized matchups. There are just so many, like 30-70 matchups in the meta right now, so whatever deck you almost pick up, then if you just meet your bad matchups, well, I guess you're going to lose a lot of games, so playing a lot of games is more important than ever before in order to get a good sample size, in order to get a good matchup spread, in order to not get a lopsided view of the overall strength of the decks. Also, many of the archetypes are still being refined, so I expect the meta to look a little bit different already in 1 week, in 2 weeks, but I will get back to you again once that happens. As for the current best performers, Deathrattle Demon Hunter, still a fine choice for ladder, got a little bit better after the nerfs. This is one of the least polarized decks in the meta. You don't have a lot of great matchups, you don't have a lot of matchups that you're just going to win, but you also don't have a lot of matchups that you're just going to lose. So in some ways that means that every game is going to be a struggle, I guess, but it also means that almost every game is an opportunity. Still, some of the more polarized decks are performing better, so Deathrattle Demon Hunter, viable, pretty okay, but there's still a few better alternatives out there. One of them being the Aggro Druid. Aggro Druid has really risen up with the nerf patch, and it's doing pretty well. It has a lot of good matchups, and then it has a number of really bad matchups. For example, I tried out Aggro Druid a little bit. I played 4 games, all of them were against Quest Shaman. I went 1 and 3. Yeah, I guess that didn't feel too good. But on the other hand, if I had met a bunch of Paladins, Hunters, Priests, Demon Hunters, Rogues, maybe life would look very different. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this Aggro Druid archetype. Right now it's pretty much a one-trick pony with raise main battle card. You get the battle card, you play some your 0-cost taunt minions, and boom. Although I guess there is kind of a second trick with Oracle of Elune and some minions that make copies of themselves, but yeah, if you hit the good matchups and not the bad matchups, Aggro Druid can be very strong. Shadow Priest is an archetype where a lot of development work has been going on. The original Shadow Priest list with the void shards and stuff, that has kind of fallen off. It's not very strong in the current meta. But there are a couple of new attempts, and the most promising one is the version with Disciplinarian Gambling. The list is of course still evolving, but Disciplinarian Gambling, dumping your hand, Voracious Reader, getting some cards back. Shadow Priest has finally realized that it actually needs to fight for the board because it desperately needs minions to deal damage. And what better way to fight for the board than Disciplinarian Gambling, jamming some 0-cost minions that turn into 4/4s. That's your instant board that allows you to fight. If you thought that the Quest Mage nerf would take Quest Mage away, well, it didn't, and actually I'd still recommend the exact same list of Quest Mage as before. It's still perfectly fine. Incanter's Flow, of course, nowadays costing 3 mana instead of 2 mana, but Quest Mage is still good, and it has strong matchups against Warlocks and against Quest Shaman, both of which are really popular archetypes right now. So even though Quest Mage is objectively a little bit weaker, and it still has those weaknesses against those ultra-aggressive decks like Face Hunters and Poison Rogues, then some of the decks that are gaining popularity can fall victim to Quest Mage. Quest Shaman is one of the decks that has risen the most with the nerf patch. It has a lot of good matchups, and then it has 2 really bad matchups, which are the Quest Mage and Quest Warlock. Well, Mage even worse than Warlock. Warlock is kind of tolerable, Mage is just abysmal. So again, this sort of rock, paper, scissors kind of thing where, okay, you're great depending on the matchup, or you just suck. But Quest Shaman has a lot of good matchups, and it is one of the strongest decks right now. Oh, and remember Secret Paladin, you know, the deck that got Conviction nerfed to 2 mana and Battleground Master nerfed to 6 mana. Yeah, the deck is still doing very well. Those nerfs don't seem to affect its performance much. It still has some weaknesses against these decks that are very strong on the board, but it can also really fight well against Quest Warlocks in particular. And that is a great asset to have in the current meta. Elemental Shaman is another fine deck, and you see this polarization. Elemental Shaman just tramples over most other decks, but then it meets Quest Shamans, Quest Warlocks, and it's in trouble. And there's a lot of Quest Shamans and Quest Warlocks on the ladder right now. If you play enough games, let's say you play 50 games, you're still going to have a great time overall, because those Quest Shamans and Quest Warlocks are not that popular, but if you play 10 games, you might run into a bad streak. But that's just the overall feeling of the current meta. Face Hunter is also still doing strong. Golgar Backrunner was nerfed, and as a result, most Face Hunter lists have cut Golgar Backrunner. And yeah, it's still going okay without that. It can be a little bit harder to fight for the board against something like an Elemental Shaman or a Rush Warrior, but you can still wreck those quest mages. The Quest Warlock matchup also isn't bad at all, it's actually slightly Hunter favored. It's not so favored that I would call it a strong matchup, but you're never afraid if you're facing a Warlock. However, the number one deck in the post-nerfs meta is Quest Warlock, because Quest Warlock's main weakness is Quest Mage, and Quest Mage is now a little bit slower, a little bit less popular, there's a little bit more room for Quest Warlock, and specifically it's the Giants version of Quest Warlock. So there's no Dark Layers here. Blessed Giant nerf was so insignificant that it doesn't matter. Blessed Giant is still fine. Giants, Battleground Battlemaster. This variant is doing far, far better than the one with Stealer of Souls in it. But overall, it is just having a good time on the ladder. The post-nerfs meta is obviously still developing, so I will keep you updated, but right now, these are the best 9 decks that you can play on the ladder. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and check out my Twitch channel.